In today's episode, we discuss how our journey of personal development is more connected to our energy than you think with Eimear Zone, a confidence and mindset coach to creatives, leaders, and entrepreneurs. We also discuss how sometimes doing nothing, getting still, and tuning in to listen to our inner wisdom and simply learning to live in the present moment can be incredibly powerful for our energy rather than constantly forcing ourselves to keep hustling instead of allowing ourselves to flow. If you're ready to remember who you are on an energetic, sacred, and soul level, to seek your truth, to feel your power, and to shine your light brighter than before, if you are ready to awaken on a deeper level, then I, Kimberly Castro, welcome you to Quantum Speaks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Speaks. I am Kimberly Castro, and today I'm here with a beautiful, wonderful guest speaker, Eimear Zone. Beautiful name, and just a little bit about Eimear. She's a confidence and mindset coach. She's the creator of the Elegant Number Method for boundary setting. She's also an author of the Little Book of Good Enough. So I want to hear a little bit about that. And coach the creatives, leaders, and entrepreneurs. And I read that you're from originally from Dublin and you live in New Mexico. And I used to live in New Mexico, so I was like, oh, really? I haven't heard anybody from New Mexico lately. I haven't met anybody. So I wanted to welcome you in, and if you could just introduce yourself and just tell us a little synopsis of how you became this mindset coach and author, and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for the lovely introduction. It's so funny that you have a New Mexico connection too. Yeah. So bit of a journey to become who I am today, to be where I am today. I was originally from Dublin, spent 17 years in the UK. And the move to the US happened about 7-8 years ago when I had 3 young kids. I just thought I had everything sort of settled on where their schools were and everything. And I was about to sort of go, okay, more time for me. And then his job took us to the States. He's American. And so that sort of was a little bit of a shift for me to kind of refocus and kind of go, okay, I'm in a whole new country here. What will I do? Wow. And that was in Florida.
So I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida?
I was little connections.
I tell you. So I was in Miami for 2 years, and I'm, so Irish in my complexion. When my husband says we're going to Miami, I was going, this is just a really weird pivot. I mean, I looked at the climate and I was going, why would I be there? I know it's beautiful. It is beautiful. So it was quite a shift. And I kind of found myself going, okay. So I used to do tech sales. I studied law. What the heck am I going to do in this country? And now I have to help with my kids again. Right. So that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, and kind of coming to this point that, do you know what? Life is going to be what life is going to be. And if I'm going to find my way, regardless of what happens externally, it's going to be up to me, because I was not happy. After I moved to the States, I was not happy in Miami for a while. I was going, what the hell am I doing here? So it was a bit of a beginning of that awakening. And I think I came across, I was sitting on a park bench with a friend doing the after school thing with the kids in the park. And she talked to me about something called her dream line. I was just looking for the name of a cleaner. And she said, oh, I have getting a cleaner on my dream line. I don't have one. And I was going, well, forget the cleaner thing. What the hell is a dream line?
Right.
Because that sounds so much more interesting, like cleaning my bathrooms. And that was the beginning of a conversation that, led me ultimately to what I do today, because she was talking about a vision for life that had come from a framework that had come from Tim Ferriss. And so I just kind of was introduced to his podcast through that. And Tim does a really great job of getting so many different personalities onto his podcast. And then he would ask people, what book do you recommend to people, from every guest? And so I started getting all those books, which just kind of led me in every direction. And I think, I started an online business, which was a social enterprise for women, where I was looking to give back to the Global Fund for Women. With a law background, I was very interested in what gets in the way for women. And when I saw how often our lives and our careers are interrupted, just through deciding if we're going to have kids and be a parent, or maybe you have an older family member that you have to look after, or maybe you end up being plucked from one country and landed in another, that life just comes at us. And so I said, I was interested in that, and how women can really, no matter what age or stage they're at in life or what comes at them, how can they begin to be in that space and make it work for them. And then I wrote my book, The Little Book of Good Enough, because doing that work with the social enterprise, that online work, I kind of thought, there's an awful lot going on systemically, and I have a background in law, and I was very interested in labor law and employment law and discrimination. And I was kind of going, well, gee whiz, it's going to take us a long time to fix that stuff.
Right.
I'm like hitting on the door of 50. I've got a, 14-year-old daughter now. And I was thinking, what are the statistics? 247 years until there's pay equality at the current rate of progress. I was going, I could be doing this work and nothing had changed by the time I popped my clogs. So that's when the internal journey began. And then looking at that book was about what stops us. Forget what's outside. Let's look at where the power really resides on that internal journey. And that's when I wrote The Little Book of Good Enough, which is, you write the book that you want to read, that you need yourself. And that was about my own kind of internal story of, I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old, I'm too young, whatever the not enough story is. And really looking at how can I help change that narrative, because, there's this strong belief that I have, there's so much untapped power in women, so much untapped feminine power. And if we could access that, I really think, we could quite literally transform the world. But when we're caught in that I'm not enough and the self-doubt, that just stops people in the starting blocks. And from there, I trained as a coach, and now I specialize in confidence and mindset. And it really is focused on this, tapping into that potential and where we are, that it really doesn't matter what's going on out there. You don't need to fight that. There's stuff going on here. And when you can access and tap into that, you can manifest stuff out there and influence stuff out there. It's about power, not force.
Yes, that's beautiful. So what did you find was the common, you said you started to reach out and help other women. Did you find like a common, besides not enough, or which part of not enough was a common belief that you were discovering about your clients?
I think that was the core. It was that I'm not enough story. Yes. I think is just resides, and so many people are carrying it with them. They're camouflaging it, and they're doing things regardless of its presence. And I don't think that we're looking to battle and kind of dismantle something necessarily. It's just like making peace almost with it. But I think that's huge. But it has tentacles that extend, that might be the seed, but if you don't think you're enough, then you're into the land of, there's no boundaries. I don't make time for myself. I'm just more interested in your opinion of me. Do you like me? Am I okay? What do you need from me? And that's, the common sort of conditioning of women to be the caregiver, or to put themselves last. And I think it really is that lack of space and there's no, it just feels like women are not taking up enough space in the world, and they're not giving themselves enough space in their own lives to be able to take those steps to really tap into their power. It's so much outward and giving and doing for others, and just no time even to take that breath and kind of really know themselves and really belong to themselves, I guess, really connect at that deeper level to who they are. And unless you do that, you can't express it.
Right.
And then you're not, I mean, I don't believe you're truly living, you're truly being who you're supposed to be. You don't remember who you are. You're playing a role.
Yes. You're playing a role, you're wearing a mask. And I feel that in my heart, and I almost want to, like, my eyes want to well up with tears, because I feel like that's where a lot of, like you're saying, we women, I know I've been there a few times where I'm like, where did I go? Who am I? Why am I here? And like you said, you put yourself in the background, you're trying to be the champion for everybody else. And, like you have a spouse or kids or life or, a career, and you're putting everybody else first, and then you put yourself last. And you feel like at the time, when you're in it, sometimes you feel like you're doing the right thing. But when you're alone by yourself in the middle of the night, you wake up, you're like, what? Something inside, whatever the mask looks like, it's happy and it's good. The inside's off. And whether it's you don't feel like enough, or you don't feel like you're giving yourself enough, a lot of people do not know what it is. They just feel like something is missing. So are there any steps? Are there any steps, like you're saying, that you could tell the audience right now, maybe something you learned when you're writing your book and when you became a coach that could help somebody, like right now, something they could do today, something they could do tonight, to at least even go within to find out what's missing, or what should I start looking at? What am I, anything, words of wisdom.
Yeah, I think there is, that feeling when you're lost, and it's really hard to think where can I drop anchor and feel some sense of peace and begin to get unstuck. And I think what I typically do with people when I'm working with them, even just very briefly or for a longer period of time, is, it's until we make the unconscious conscious. I think it's Jung said this, isn't it? Carl Jung, it will lead our life, and we will call it fate. So it really is sort of this two-pronged approach of kind of remembering who we are, and then kind of being conscious of, what is the makeup of this mask that is, making me feel so uncomfortable. So, like, as a first step, I really do a lot of values work to remind people, because there's so much should, particularly for women, I found that as a caregiver. I just knew that I had to be a mom and a partner and hold stuff together. And I'd forgotten what I wanted. And it was really embarrassing. What do you want? I don't know. It's been so long since I've even thought I was allowed to think about that.
Wow, yeah.
That I had forgotten even how to access it. So my first step for somebody would be, to give yourself a little bit of space and time with a blank piece of paper. And I prefer paper and pen rather than, this, because it's just all of that kinetic energy of the writing. And just to write down when you last felt connected to yourself. When were my best moments? When was my last great day or great moment? And just begin. So we're looking to connect dots. So you want to put in, the space of giving yourself full permission. There's no such thing as selfishness. It doesn't have to be when I did this for my kids. It's about really connecting into when did I have a great day? When did I feel at my best? When did I feel really in alignment? When did I not have this feeling, whether it's in my gut of something being wrong? When did it last feel right? And start trying to paint a picture and detach when you're doing this from any feeling like you need to find the answer. Because there's lots of that. This will be it, and then I'll get it, and then I'll be done, and then I'll next step. And it's not about that. It's about openness and a curiosity. And we are in search for, that connection and some clues. So I would say that is the very first step. It's an opening of the door and an invitation to seeing yourself again.
Beautiful. So where, because for me, I connect everything and I relate it to energy. So it's in the conscious or unconscious, or we're hiding it from ourselves, we're not tapping in, we're not going within. And that's what I feel like a lot of people just don't take the time to go within, like you said, to even explore, what do I really want? What do I really need? And it not just you on a physical level. We have many layers to ourselves. What do I need? In a physical level, mental level, emotional level, spiritual level. There's so many levels, just like there's exercise for your physical body. We need to exercise too, our mind, our energy. So for me, I liken it to, going within and finding energetically where in our body are we storing that feeling, even if we can't name it. Where is it? And then when you focus on the area, and there's many things, I know, like some people breathe into an area. I communicate with my energy in my body, and I get a lot of information about my client's body. So I'll see where they're holding it, what, if there's a name, what the name is. And that's not always important, but sometimes it is, to bring awareness to it so we can feel what it is. So do you feel like you feel it in your client's body, or do you feel it in your body where you're holding on to something that needs to be focused on?
Yeah,
released?
I think that's huge. And I think, at the beginning of my journey, I didn't realize just how enormously important that was. And that has been sort of, that journey into understanding energy has been huge for me. And sometimes I'll coach that overtly with somebody, like with everybody I work with, I do an assessment that's really based on energy levels, 7 energy levels. And it's called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. I mean, it's a terrible name. Doesn't really give much of a clue to what it is, but it sounds very innocuous. Some people are very like, oh, energy, that's very, woo-woo or something. And I'm kind of, so it depends on who it, some people are resistant up front if you're very clear about, the going in and understanding really the energy field and the energy body. And so I come in the side door often, and then with this assessment. And so I just explain these seven levels, which are really the 7 levels of consciousness, obviously, and talking about the energetic consequence of our thoughts. And so I start at the thought level, educating somebody, and this assessment really gives somebody a snapshot of how they are showing up in life in regards to these 7 levels, and what are the dominant energy levels that they are showing up with, and how that impacts them. So it's like this real kind of mic drop of awareness, and then the introduction of the language of energy. And then when we come to speak about it, it's, when they're describing a situation and how they're feeling about it, it's that question, where do you feel that in your body? Some people are so disconnected from their body.
Yes.
They're so in their head. And I'm sure you know about this from all the great work that you're doing. And that to get somebody to allow themselves to be present with themselves and to connect in fully to themselves can be scary for some people. And it feels, again, there's a lot of guilt and self-indulgence. I just need to fix the problem. I'm going, you're not a problem to be fixed.
Right.
You're a life to be experienced, your body to connect to. So I think that's a really important journey. And I find when I use this energy leadership index assessment, which is something that's proprietary from the school of coaching that I went to, and again, that just feels like it was natural, that it,
yes,
you know, that what shows up for you is what you need in the moment. I wasn't particularly looking for this.
Right.
Curiosity was sort of there, and then life shows you what you need, right? And more of this has just come in, you know, to my life. I remember first hearing about Abraham Hicks, and, you know, from a friend like 8 years ago, and I'm going, I'm sorry, what? You know, I was on my way to Tony Robbins or something, very different messenger, up in New York at the time. And I said, you went to North Carolina to see what? And somebody's channeling, sorry, I don't get that. And like a couple of years later, I was calling her going, yeah, you know that Abraham Hicks thing that you were telling me about? Oh, yeah. And so the journey is, you know, has been more and more of that for me. And I think everybody sort of ends up in this place of the opening up once you are committed to a journey of personal development, connection, and discovery. And so I love to coach from the energetic perspective and to introduce it to as many people as possible. Because I get lots of people coming to me who are just want to feel more confident. I want to do this in my career, and they're not at that kind of stage yet, but this is just a door opening for them to explain how energy is showing up for them, and a beginning of the potential that's there if they want to go further.
And I love that, because you're meeting them where they are, because they don't know what they need. And we know that it's energetic. And the way I receive information is, you know, just even talking to you, I'll start hearing things and hearing, you know, feeling people's energy, and I'll hear where they're holding, you know, their blocks, their limiting beliefs. I'll hear what the limiting beliefs are, and how to clear them. And they're not always cleared on just the physical level. They're not always on a mindset level. They're on, you know, it could be a genetic level, core level, celestial level. It could be a, you know, there's so many different layers, and everyone says the onion layers. I like to think of it as like maybe like a rose just opening up petal at a time, because it always seems to be another petal. Once oh, I'm done with that. No, and it shows up in a different way. So to me, I love to speak about energy. You know, this is Quantum Speaks. And I mean, my background is, it's not only all the certifications that I received, but the guidance and the teachings from my spirit guides. And it, you know, and I do have the people that are like, oh, what are you talking about? And then I have the other side, you know, of the healer friends, and that this is just common knowledge and things we talk about, you know. So I also, you know, for a long time, I wouldn't say things because it's just not appropriate sometimes, because it's just going to fall on deaf ears. It's not like I don't want to talk about it. Now I'm excited, but I say something to somebody, they're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Like you said, channeling what and going where and who and energy, they don't get it. They don't understand, and that's okay. But what I have been seeing lately is so many people opening up and awakening, and there's so many remedies. And the way I'm shown, they're energetic serums that once you tap into them, just by simply giving yourself permission with different sequence of words, whether it's I allow, you know, love to come into my life, or if there's something going on, I dissolve it on a certain level, or I dissolve it. I always hear what the sequence is of words that I need to say to release it for myself or for somebody else, because I'm my biggest guinea pig. I'm up all night trying things on myself. And I'm like, ooh, that was too much, or ooh, you know, and I'm shown the layers to get to the core. So you could bypass all the other stuff, but some people are only on the surface level.
Yeah. They're
just getting there. So for me, I feel like you are led to this work, you know, your path, your breadcrumbs to get you to this point is for your own healing, your own journey, and also to help, you know, all those others that are just catching up to you. But I think people are catching up a little bit faster. So I think what I'm experiencing is more people are open to the energy work, you know?
Yeah. I think so too.
or they're ready for it, or they're being introduced, like you said, through a book. Before it was like you didn't speak about stuff like that. It wasn't, you didn't talk about metaphysics and channeling and intuition and meditation. Now it's like it's trending, it's trendy, but it's means more than trending. It's your life, your energy, and it's about really just getting quiet, taking a few breaths in the morning, and just imagine that energy going up and down your spine, and just give yourself permission. I allow anything that no longer serves me to be washed away, because to me, it's like your house gets dirty, gets dusty, and you can just go do a little quick clean. But you have to go do the quick clean, just like you have to give yourself permission to clean energetically, even if you don't believe it, even if you don't feel it. There are just little things like that. So, I just find this whole world of energy fascinating. And I'm just happy that you're here. Just however you're reaching these people, it's amazing, because you're doing energetic work, you're doing mindset work, you're doing confidence, you're getting in there somehow, but you're helping them, teaching them to go within. So for that, I think I just commend you. That's amazing. And do you do anything online? Mostly online?
Sorry?
You do mostly everything online? Do you do one-on-one? Like, how do people reach you and get to you?
I do coaching one-on-one online. I have my online course, which will relaunch in about 6 weeks again, which is the Elegant No, which is about creating that space.
Nice.
And an introduction to the work that I do on boundaries. And obviously a lot of people find me through my book, because the message is that it's that entry level message. Like, yes. I'm not connected to my power. I'm really disconnected. And that's really the first point that's the door where people come through a lot for me. I'm really, really passionate about that work, because the book particularly attracts women. I do get men who read it and who email me and said, this was recommended to me. A guy emailed me just the other day, and is it just for women though? I think it's the pink cover or something, or, whatever. And it's written by me, really for me and anybody who was at that stage of the journey when I was. But it absolutely, serves men as well. And I think that kind of connection to self, it really is about what you're talking about, that energy and that power. And I find so many people with, recently so much stress with COVID in the world, just feeling that energetic sort of upset, and that tension has been huge. And that has sent a lot of people on, looking for doors, looking for the doors, looking with curiosity to say, this isn't how it should be. And this kind of tightness and intensity and all of this hustle culture, and I like to get up early, but this oh my God, I'm up at 4 o'clock and I've got, 20 things done. And then I've got my 20 minutes of meditation. Meditation has almost become militarized as sort of the high achievers going, and I'm doing that, check. And then I've done this, check. And there's not a lot of spaciousness in it. So I'm trying to come at it from this angle of hey, less hustle, more flow, yes. Less force, more power, don't just sit there and do something. It's kind of the opposite of that. Don't just do something, sit there. Take that space. And I went on a journey recently where I just discovered by accident, Sadhguru's work. And I, kind of had been reading, I think it's an autobiography of a yogi I had been reading. And it's a book that Steve Jobs gave to everybody at his funeral, apparently, not personally, but it was distributed. Mm-hmm. And I was very curious about that book, and I had just been listening to it for a while, and I was really interested in Kriya Yoga. Mm-hmm. As this sort of opening of a door to connection. And then I found Sadhguru, and I attended one of his programs, and considering it was online, and there were so many people doing it, this induction into Kriya Yoga, it was the most incredible, energetic
Yes.
experience that I've ever had, to be in his presence, even just virtually, and to be inducted into that. So I think there's all of these stages and levels of our journey once we begin to open the door and we are become curious and we decide to give ourselves, that space. And it's, for me, it is just the antidote to that stress hustle culture, to look for this experience of connection and being with the energy and just being open. Like the doing nothing is actually incredibly powerful.
Yes.
Incredibly powerful. That's when you get those intuitive hits. That's when the ideas come.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you stop forcing stuff, you realize that you can tap into a much higher level and a much more potent resource. And so that ultimately is the dream, is to connect as many people, to connect as deeply personally to that in this lifetime as I can, and to open the door for as many other people at whatever stage that they're at to access as much of that.
That's awesome. And it's funny because we have so many synchronicities that like the autobiography of a yogi that was given to me. That book was given to me by a friend years ago. And after that, I actually became a yoga teacher, a 500-hour advanced yoga teacher. So I've been teaching for 10 years and then COVID happened. So I'm not teaching right now. But yeah, for 10 years. And that was part of my training, was we had to read that book. We had to learn about Kriya Yoga. We had to do our meditations. We had to do everything. And that book is thick. And at first I was like, you want me to do what and read that? Like I didn't read in high school and in college unless I had to, but I couldn't put the book down. There's so many pearls of wisdom and everything in that book. And I actually, I have that book. I won't get rid of it. I always want to go to it. And it, like you were saying, you keep, people come into your life, whether it be the resources like the books or, you said you had the online meeting with the guru, and when you're in the presence, whether it's in person or not, for me, you could feel their energy. It's just, I could see it. Like the room to me gets like a white, like a white energetic fog, and I can only see the person like glowing in between. And it's like all the angels and guides are like saying, listen to this, not even listen, just feel the energy. And that's what it is. Even if the people aren't ready to receive whatever messages that perhaps they're sitting down with you, your energy, you are channeling an energy, whether it be a code or something that they need to shift something within them so they could go home and get that aha moment. And they might never ever, think it had anything to do with working with you or anything, but it is. We know that. We know that we could help shift, we might not know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and it's way beyond, comprehension, half of it, but we trust that we're in front of this person for a reason. You're in front of me for a reason. We're on this podcast for a reason, to reach out in the future for the people that are just catching up, or people that just need to be reminded that go within, listen to your energy, go get quiet, find that quiet place in your home, outdoors, get grounded and anchor into yourself and really figure out what it is you want, what it is you need, whether it be the food you need to eat or drink, the environment you need to be, the relationships you need to have. And it's not always the outside is wrong, and it's not the inside is wrong. It's just different. And we go through our stages, and to be kind and compassionate. And that's all I want, for people to know, is just treat themselves with kindness and compassion, but keep moving, keep growing, and find your own flow, find your own path, and reach out to people that can help you, that already doing it, or might know a little bit something, have an experience or a tip to do something different that could help you. Is there something I haven't said that you want to say to the audience that could help them, or a resource, or or just
Yeah.
something
Just
that could help
everything that
them.
you're saying resonates so much. And I just want to just take that a little bit further, maybe crystallize a tiny bit, because
Yes.
what came across when you were saying that was like, what the message I really want people to get is this kind of allowing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want you to grant to yourself, to allow yourself space to be curious. That is the biggest gift that I gave to myself. Was when I began really that journey, when that lady talked to me about the dream line, when I was sitting on a park bench in Miami, I allowed myself space to follow my curiosity. My curiosity took me to a conference in LA that was all about, what was it, girl bosses. I forget her name, but who did the girl boss thing. And onto the girl boss stage came, who's the universe got your back? Gabby Bernstein. Had never heard of Gabby Bernstein. And I'm in New York.
Love her.
And Gabby Bernstein. And I'm in a room full of people who were very spiritual, very interested in energy. That was like very left field for me, but I was going, I think I'm meant to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I traveled alone. I showed up alone. I didn't wait for somebody to be ready at the same time as me. Travel alone to the places that you need to be in. Go to those things. You will find other people. I'm a confidence coach. I am probably a confidence coach and a mindset coach because I used to be very shy as a younger person. But nobody would, ever think that I wasn't very confident. But I came from being very shy. But now put yourself into rooms that you can't quite. I remember Gabby saying that some of you will know why you're here, and other people just know that you came here and you don't know why. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm here, but I don't know why. And I've been in lots of rooms where I was there, but I didn't know why when I got into the room, or I didn't know why I picked up a book. But by the time I read it, I knew. By the time, the event was over, I connected with these people and had these experiences. I know. Don't rush to understand. Stay open and stay curious, and bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. Because when you do that and you commit to going within and actually discovering, I believe everybody's here just to create and contribute at their highest level. That's why we're here. You're not here to like please everybody, you're not here to live up to the expectations of somebody else. They're there to do their work. You're here to do your work. It's not selfish. It's actually your role here. Like, do that, commit to that, and be open and curious and give yourself time. And, there is treasure there that is waiting to be tapped if you bet on yourself and you start, committing to just the next step of following your curiosity. It's like the best trip you'll ever take.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I love that. I allow myself to be curious. I allow myself to be curious. So close your eyes. I allow myself to be curious and take a few deep breaths and just allow yourself to imagine where this curiosity could go, and wake up and open your eyes and just trust that you're going to be led there, and without forcing it, without overanalyzing it, and without pushing yourself. And then that's how we start to see the beauty, the light. We find the joy in things instead of all these rigid schedules and all this to-do list, and we're not enjoying it,
Yeah.
So I think that's beautiful. So how can my audience find you? Is there a website? Is there somewhere that they could reach you on Facebook, Instagram? Where can they find you if they wanted to work with you or reach out and learn more?
Yeah, to reach out and learn more, well, Eimear Zone, and the website is very simply eimearzone.com. And then I'm also on Instagram, and that's at Eimear Zone Coach. And drop me a DM, send me an email, eimear@eimearzone.com. Check out my book on Amazon, The Little Book of Good Enough. You'll see me if you read my book. I'm very present in my book. And, if you have any questions about it, just shoot me a message. I love talking to people who've read my book and are interested in learning and taking the next step. And if it feels like you'd like to just open the door, if you're at the very beginning of your journey and you want to just open the door to this world of energy, and you just at that curious point, maybe the Energy Leadership Index will be a nice entry point for you. And we could talk about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. I feel your energy. I feel like you're just, a spiritual, I feel like a spiritual teacher, like a spiritual channel, just channeling that the energy, that love, whatever the people need. So I can't wait to see what your next steps will be, your next journey, where you're going to be flowing to. So I thank you for being here, and thank you to my audience, and I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Kim.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
everyone.
Thank you.